Hi, I'm Lada from astrolada.com, and this is Mars in the 6th house of the birth horoscope. How do you find out the position of any of your planets, but we're talking about Mars in your horoscope? You need to know your time of birth. Then go to my birth chart calculator. I'm putting a link here on the video for it. Enter your time of birth, place of birth, or approximately there, and go to one of the birth charts and check where the letters MA, which is abbreviated for Mars, is situated, and if the number 6 is there, or if it's basically in the 6th square from the number 1. I use whole sign system. One sign equals one house, but you can be using Placidus or an equal house system, whichever one. Sometimes they can give difference. But what happens if you have Mars in the 6th sign or in the 6th house? Well, let's see. What is Mars? Mars is our energy. Where do we put our energy? How do we get mobilized energetically? And the 6th house in astrology is known as one of the difficult houses. It's where problems happen, where we have to fix things, where conflicts are, where we have to battle with others. It's the house of wars, of disease and things like that. And Mars is one malefic planet as well. Mars rules injuries and conflicts as well. But what happens when we get minus and minus, two negative and two more formidable forces? They tend to kind of give a positive result. You know, according to ancient astrology, when you put a difficult planet in a difficult house, just like Mars is the small malefic, as we know it is a malefic planet because it has harsh influence, when you put it in a difficult house, it tends to deal very well. Such people can deal very well with difficult issues in their life, which is what 6th house rules. Because if you put a soft planet in the 6th house of problems, you will be kind of intimidated by difficult things. You don't have the energy to deal with such problems. But with Mars there in the 6th house, you can deal so much more successfully with issues that problematic. And 6th house is conflict, 6th house is disease, 6th house is disagreements, court cases, divorces as well is ruled by the 6th house. 6th house is your enemies, 6th house is your competitors. And what happens when you put Mars, a very feisty, dynamic planet? Well, it will increase your competitiveness, it will increase your enemies, the number of your enemies. They'll be more aggressive and vicious, of course. It will increase the number maybe of court cases you have to fight and battle cases. It will increase the disagreements in your life and more conflict, more arguments indeed. But it will also give you the upper hand in such conflict, in such confrontational situations, in such situations which tend to be out of balance, which is what the 6th house is. So, okay, Mars there will increase the occurrence of such matters in your life. So your life will be more full of conflict, more full of, challenges overall, of confrontations, more enemies than normal, more arguments and conflicts, more susceptible, more even having to battle with diseases. But the good news is that Mars there gives you the drive, the force, the get up, the dynamism to triumph over such problems. And 6th house is your debts, for example. You can get in debts, but you can get yourself out of debts with your willpower and your actions when Mars is in the 6th house. You can, in a skillful, very logical way, because Mars tackles problems through logic and through confrontation. You can get yourself, it's indication that you can have court cases in your life, but usually you might be the one, more likely, you'll be the one who wins in those court cases, because Mars is the power of winning. You can have more competition in your life, but you'll be able to, to win over your competition. You'll be able to win over your enemies. Of course, you have more enemies that create problems for you, but again, you turn out most often with Mars in the 6th house, usually 70% out of 100, to be the winner in those situations. It's not an easy position, but it gives you the upper hand in such situations in life. And let's see, for example, 6th house rules our adversaries. So Mars there shows that we can have quite vicious adversaries. Now you're not an adversary. You can have quite vicious adversaries that attack us, that jump on our case more often. But again, it's your chart, so it's your Mars there, which seems that you can overcome your adversaries. Also, 6th house is the house of our employees. people that work for us, people that we manage, people that are below us on the social scale. So such people, say at your workplace, there can be more conflicts with your colleagues, for example, in your work environment. There can be more competitiveness or more dynamism or more kind of stresses that are happening coming to you from your workplace, especially from subordinates. In the past they used to say your servants, now it's your employees, for example. They can be more fighting between employees or with you and employees or people that you manage of some sort. There are more stresses there. But again, you have a no-nonsense attitude. You confront them and you go and deal with this problem. And you don't run away from conflicts, actually. Such people, their life is full of conflicts, and I know a couple of people that have that. And if anything, they go and create conflicts, and usually they win in those conflicts. I had a partner with this, and he would be on the phone arguing for the smallest thing if he was not happy with something, and kind of being quite aggressive. And he would always get like free tickets or whatever or something, he would always win in those arguments. And he said, you have to be like that, to win things. But sixth house is actually a house of work. So such people will be putting a lot of energy into work. Some of them can even be workaholics, because Mars is where we put lots of energy, short bursts of energy, where we're very dynamic. So such people can work very hard and they never give up, actually. When it comes to work, they can be work very hard to get things done. So this can be a great employees. Okay, they can create more tension in the team with others. They can create a bit more stresses there. They can be more fighting. But if you have a Mars in the sixth house person, this person will get so much work done compared to others. Maybe that's why conflicts happen at their workplace more, because they're more driven, more ambitious when they come to their projects and getting their work done than others. And this can antagonize their colleagues. So people that are slower to fulfill those responsibilities and duties, this is why these conflicts can come with such people. Also, sixth house Mars makes people that are great to work in environments that are more conflict prone and to win in such environments. So it's a great position for for lawyers, for example. Because crime fighting lawyers, they'll fight on behalf in a conflict and win. It can be a great position for someone who is a conflict manager, to manage conflicting situations. Says people calling you and complaining about a project or whatever, you'll be able to handle it better without, because some people would run away. Some people would feel very stressed when they're constantly like conflict around them. But Mars in the sixth house people are not like that. They confront the problem. So conflict managers, amazing for that. Or they can be great sixth house Mars, as we said, lawyers, conflict managers, social change activists, like Hugo Chavez, for example, has that position. And these people, wise social change activists, and like Linda and Paul McCartney both had Mars in the sixth house, and they were animal activists, because sixth house rules all people and all situations and all situations in life which are out of balance or which are weaker than us. So for example, animals, sixth house rules all kind of animals. So Mars is something that you fight for. So people there with Mars in the sixth house can be animal activists fighting for the rights of animals, so fighting for the rights of the poor, fighting for the rights of the victimized, the marginalized, fighting for rights of abused people. So such people often are very strong activists for such difficult topics. Sixth house rules pollution as well of the environment, anything which is out of balance. So such people can be environmental pollution fighters. They can be lawyers that are fighting for environmentally. They can be fighters for social injustice, for example, for any kind of injustices that are out of balance. They'll go and fight for this. So even though you'd say, oh, it's horrible to have Mars in the sixth house, all this conflict that is in your life, but your purpose in life might be, that's why maybe you are made more feisty, so you can overcome and you can fight in such situations, because we need such people that are not afraid to go in difficult situations and to win conflict. And because if everyone avoids conflict, or if everyone, is afraid of conflict, how can we in any way have progress or help the weaker, the poorer, because sixth house rules the uneducated, the poor, the weak, the disadvantaged, the marginalized, the abused. So such people, Mars gives you the ability to go and fight for such people. Also, it's great position for military or police people, because it's again, what do? They go and solve conflicts. And of course there is often conflict around them, because Mars is planet of conflict, sixth house is house of conflict, but they face it, you know, face on, they tackle it face on. So it's often seen in military people, and they'll often have advantage in wars, you know. If you have a leader with Mars in the sixth house, such person might, and sixth house is very critical, very strategic, so your military ability to solve problems is kind of quite good as well, so they can have advantage in war. If you're in a conflicting situation and you have Mars in the sixth house, you can have the upper hand and you can be the one that wins in this conflicting situation. So policemen, surgeons as well, that's another position, because sixth house rules health, Mars is sharp instruments. So such people, surgeons are often seen, or people in the medical field are often felt to have Mars in the sixth house. Because Mars goes and tackles problems and is fearless. And sixth house is sick people, you know, out of balance. It's diseases. Sixth house rules all diseases. So people there go and tackle and are warriors against diseases. I've seen this in people that work out, you know, somehow fighting with unhealthy food habits, like nutritionists, so people that are fighting with unhealthy exercise habits. So what's that called? The people that trainers in a gym, you know, they're very, where do you put your energy? Mars, sixth house, health, to restore balance in your health, to restore situations out of balance. Usually, often they would have overcome some kind of health problem, and health, exercise might have helped them, or nutrition might have helped them, and they go to be warriors for that cause and to actively involve themselves and make it their career. Sixth house naturally works, rules service as well, service that we give. And the service that we give with Mars in the sixth house can be very martial, like I said, policemen, medicine people that solve problems, conflict, can be lawyers of some sort, can be Mars also rules technological things like sharp metal, technical stuff. So it gives you mechanical abilities, like engineers. Many engineers have Mars in the sixth house, like Nikola Tesla has Mars in the sixth house. And we all know about Nikola Tesla. And also Copernicus also had that, you know, basically, sorry, I just put a few people here. Copernicus had that. And people who fight for the poor, for social injustice, Karl Marx had that. I mean, it's about, you say, oh, he created communism, but he did it for the weaker person, so he was fighting for the weaker person, for to have more right compared to the oligarchy and the royals, you know, families. So again, this is fighting for social injustice. So you see how it can play out, basically. And often involved in conflict, disagreements, fighting, but often with. Great positions for police, military fighters, for injustice, surgeons, engineers, crime fighters. They'll be good with technology. That's usually, I've noticed that, because sixth house is also critical thinking, and Mars is skilled with any kind of metal, sharp, technological things as well. And what gets you mobilized? Because Mars, whatever it is, if someone is stuck in a situation, they have to check the position of Mars in their horoscope to see what will mobilize them. And those people with Mars in the sixth house get mobilized by injustice, for example. They might get mobilized if they see someone being treated poorly, by conflict, or if death comes, a crisis. Sixth house rules of death. Death comes in your life, gets you mobilized to work harder, for example. Competition comes, mobilizes you to work harder, which is again sixth house. Criticism comes to you, mobilizes you to work harder. Conflict comes in your life and gets you, maybe you were stuck for months not wanting to do anything or whatever, not having ambition, and some conflict happens in your life and really awakens your drive and ambition. So those difficult things that other people might feel disheartened by, that might feel, you know, kind of overpowered by and can block them, actually the Mars in the sixth house person gets mobilized exactly by those things. Even disease can come and get you mobilized to get healthy, you know, and to get, well, some people, when disease comes, and if they have a weak planet, a female, as we say, a positive planet in the 6th house instead of a difficult one like Mars, they can just succumb to this condition, you know, and get more negative. But with Mars there, a health problem comes and it can just mobilize you to turn everything around. But what helps you, and actually 6th house rules what kind of health problems you might have. With Mars there, you might be inclined more to inflammations, to problems to the digestive systems, acute problems like pain in the large intestine, or some bacterial or virus attacks in the large intestine, or inflammation. Mars rules the blood and the muscles. There might be some problems with the blood and the muscles, and they're more often than other people would experience acute health problems that come suddenly, inflammatory rashes of some sort, which is like Mars nature, even short, small accidents, cuts and burns of any sort, which is Mars again. And 6th house is where the body can be compromised. And the best way for them to deal with any kind of health and issue problem is to have a muscle exercise of some sort, because Mars rules muscles, and this can really strengthen the immune system to fight even better, you know. And to be honest, actually, even though illness can come to them acutely, they're the ones that can fight it off very fast, because Mars is also the ability of the immune system, the white blood cells that, you know, attack enemy cells. And they have like a strong army within their body. But it's very important for such people to have a good workout routine, because Mars is physical activity, and you can turn the negative influence of Mars, of acute diseases of some sort, or you know, health problems, by having a good, especially the muscles, having a nice routine for muscle exercise. Okay, and usually they overcome diseases. They're great at overcoming diseases, because Mars fights over those things. They calm the diseases, but you overcome them. So don't be, as I said, two negatives make a positive. They have strong energy to triumph over such conditions, you know, of health and of conflict as well. Okay, so what else? As we said, can be great for careers which have invasive methods, and we mentioned quite a few of them. Might work or overwork sometimes, you know, but gets a lot of things done, wins over one's enemies, has to battle, but has to battle first. Highly confrontational and argumentative personality, but never defeated. Proactively involved in conflict. Well, maybe that's what you're supposed to experience in this life, and learn how to manage it better and actually contribute to the world by helping the world fight its difficult battles, you know. And troubles through the people you manage and at work more often happens again, and it's better, more challenging. More often people with this position might have service or employment or work that requires more muscle and more either confrontation or more solving conflict or problems, or technical stuff of some sort, or some kind of even physical activity, work that's connected to physical activity. So that's about it. I also gave you a few examples how they can be they're fighting for the weaker, like Paul and Linda McCartney. How can be social change activists like you know, Hugo Chavez and Karl Marx. They can have more than a fair share of conflicts in their life. Charlie Sheen is one example. Clint Eastwood is another example, and he was like a fighter for good, you know, fighting in all those kind of Western movies for the weaker, so to speak. So that's what I have for you, Mars in the 6th house. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We're going to Mars in the 7th house after that. So it's a little bit of a difficult influence, but it triumphs. Such people tend to triumph over difficulties themselves, and they are here to be warriors, so to speak. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.